All right.
There's Brad.
Yeah. So what dialer are you guys on now?
We are using call tools.
Call tools. Okay. And are you happy with it?
It's fine. Yeah, I haven't had any issues.
Yeah, it seems pretty serviceable.
Yeah, no issues. Customer service is decent. So
Okay, cool. What do you feel like, I want to find out kind of where you're at and then where you want to go, but what do you feel like is your weakness or what you're trying to improve in cold calling right now?
I feel like there's a kink between when they talk to a lead to, well, basically what happens next. Because it just falls in the podio pretty much, and then I just call it. But I don't know. So I got two cold callers, both based out of Philippines. We trade the shit out of them. Joe on here, actually, me and him, he works with me, and we train the shit out of them and try and make sure they're set up to succeed.
Yep.
And they do part of their job, and then I don't know if I'm missing something. I don't know. I basically am just trying to figure out what's the best process to make sure we're going to convert them to something decent.
Are you not connecting with them enough?
Say that again.
Are you not connecting with many of them? Like you're calling and then you're not able to get them on the phone?
I guess that's maybe not even the issue. It's like if I'm calling, I'm out on the road going on appointments, I'm not really calling them because they're just going in the system and that's it.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if there was like a do you guys use a lead manager? Or is that something that's preferred?
Yeah.
From there? Okay.
So Tiffany and Josh talked about a follow-up specialist, and this is something I'm about to do. But basically, so you would have like, here, I'm going to make a little drawing for you.
Cool.
So like, let's just say you're here, Dylan, and then we have cold callers. So you're here, right? And then you got cold callers, right? And they're dropping them in the system, but you're out running appointments and shit like that. And basically, you need to qualify those, right? But right now, it's falling on you and it's just too much. Is that what I'm hearing?
Pretty much, yep.
Okay, you got to put someone in between you guys. So you basically got to hire a really good cold caller who's not going to be a cold caller anymore, but can learn your Podio system, right?
Cool.
And you want to call that either a lead manager or a follow-up specialist. And so mine, I had one cold caller that was really good, no accent at all. Dude, he could run these cold calls in his sleep, and I could hear that he was getting bored with them. And he was just like, okay, ma'am, so, what timeline? He was just getting bored. I was like, hey, are you ready to take the next step? And okay, I'm going to teach you Podio, right? So you have to teach him your Podio system and exactly what all that is. So it seems like Joe's got the training down for you and he's got the tech stuff going on. So I would say between you and him, you need to qualify either one of your cold callers that you got now or find a new one and pay them a little bit more. But dude, someone who is going to be able to qualify these for you. So look, here's the first step. There's basically 3 steps. When I'm teaching people cold calling, there's 3 steps in the journey, right? You have to put a beginning and end on it. You have to put bookends so you're not looking out a blue ocean and thinking, oh, can I call you back? Call you back, call you back, call you back. Oh, should I call you back? Right? That shit can go on forever. And that's not what you want. So the first step is to qualify. And this is everybody in lead gen. Or I'm sorry, to prospect. And this is everybody in lead gen, right? So they're taking your list of all your prospects and then, oh, stop. I got to stop that from happening. I'm going to put my phone on airplane mode for a minute. So the first step is prospecting, right? They're taking all of your lists and hold on, let me put this on. There we go. They're prospecting. They're taking all of your list source, wherever else that you get, right? And you're deploying them to call tools. Are you guys texting as well?
Yeah.
To your texting campaign or whoever does that, right? You're just taking those and deploying them. They're basically running through all of these lists of prospects and finding the hand raisers. What are the hand raisers?
The lead.
All your leads. Yeah. And then they're taking the leads and pushing them over to Podio, and they're basically setting expectations for when the next person's going to get back to them, right?
Yep.
So if they're doing their job well and they're, prospecting well and finding leads, they're then pushing over a certain number into your CRM. That is when the next person hops into action. Your lead manager, your follow-up specialist, whoever that is, to qualify. That's the second step. So it's prospect and then qualify, right? And so for prospect, we're only asking a few questions. To find out if they're a lead, we're only asking a few. we're just finding out if they're interested in selling, right? And then what kind of timeline and what kind of price, but very light. You do not want your cold callers to qualify your leads. Do not. You do not want them to go on a 10-minute call either. You do not. You want them to have a 2 to 4 minute call where they say who they are, why they're calling. Are you interested in selling? Oh, you are interested in selling. Okay. Do you have an idea about price or timeline? Right? If they've raised their hand and said, yes, I'm interested in selling, your definition of a lead was really good before in the fuel group. Someone who's just interested in selling or they want a cash offer, push that over, right? Now it's your other guy's job, your lead manager, to go into that call and to qualify that lead. And when I say qualify, what do you think of?
Make sure they're really serious and see if we can get a price out of them.
That's it. And what are you gauging? What are you trying to figure out? How big is their
why? Motivation.
Motivation, baby.
Yeah.
Motivation is everything, right?
Sure.
So when we say qualify, we mean find out their motivation. I don't know if you've ever heard like me talk on this, but do you know how I qualify? Like what I call it?
No.
4 pillars.
Oh, 4 pillars. Yeah. I've heard that. Yep.
And so Michael Pinter said that before. He said, I use the Josh Hines /TTP script. And that's bullshit.
I saw him say that.
Okay. So I'm giving you some fucking gold here, dude. But here's where it's about to go. The 4 pillars. Do you know what they are?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Take a guess. What are the 4 things you think are most important to gauge someone's motivation?
Oh, to gauge your motivation. Okay. Got it. Time frame, price, if you can get it. If they actually have a reason for selling, and then that 4th pillar.
It's about the property. What do you need to find out about the property?
Oh, it's not in good shape.
Condition, exactly.
Condition, yeah.
Timeline, why, property condition, dollar signs. Those are the 4 right there, right?
Got it. Yep.
Those are the only 4 things. I can ask 4 questions and be 98% sure of my answer of this if this person is motivated. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, the 4 pillars you have to ask this is all me. You don't have to, right? But this is what I'll teach you. The 4 pillars you have to ask in the right order. And then the sequence of their answers is like an algorithm to tell you how motivated they are. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So when you get on the phone to qualify, what's this conversation look like now? Like your cold callers passed you over a lead. What do you call and do now?
Usually I call them up and say, hey, so I saw you talk to May. You said you're looking to sell in about 6 months. Is that right? And then I just kind of confirm the basic information I have there. And then I'll dig a little bit more in condition and figure out why they're actually trying to sell the place, because usually we don't get that.
Yep. Okay, very good. So putting a person in place is going to be your first step after this call.
Cool.
I think I've sent you the video before about how I hire VAs from onlinejobs.ph, like how I qualify them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I still use it.
Okay. I want you to set that exact thing up, dude, because I don't want you guys interviewing 98 different VAs. I want you to put an ad out and get 98 applications and then let them self-select and then have the best 5 filter through to you. And then you talk to the best 5 and pick the best 1 or 2. Okay. You should only spend about an hour or 2 hours to hire your next VA in total. I'm confident in that process. I've done it enough times. I know it's possible. Okay. So you want to get someone into place, and this next person is going to be a lead manager. And that person's sole job is going to be to call your new leads that come in to qualify them. Right. So the four pillars again are timeline, why, property condition, and dollar signs. Okay.
Got it.
And here's the exact questions you're going to ask. And here's the exact order you're going to ask. Okay, Dylan. So I'm going to call up. Hey, Dylan, blah, blah, blah. You spoke with blah, blah, blah. We got a few minutes. You have a few minutes to go over everything. Okay, great. Dylan, if we could line up on the dollar signs and all the important details, what kind of timeline is ideal for you to finalize a sale? Super important to ask first. Nobody asks this first, but it's been a game changer. Been a game changer for me to ask first. Okay.
Cool.
And here's why. Because their timeline is analogous to how big their motivation is. Right? If someone tells you, oh, anytime, no time really, no rush, are they motivated?
Not really.
Nope. No motivation. If they tell you ASAP, today, tomorrow, yesterday.
Some sort of motivation there. Yeah.
Exactly. There you go. So what I found is in this first question, I asked this first because I want to know their timeline, right? And I'm framing it around what John Martinez calls the picture perfect scenario, right? So I'm getting all the other bullshit out of the way. And I'm not talking about price. I'm not talking about condition. Dylan, if we can line up on the dollar signs and all the other important details, what kind of timeline is ideal for you to finalize the sale? All I'm asking is timeline, right?
Right.
Moved all the other bullshit out of the way. I want to hear your answer on it, right? Their answers always fall into two buckets, 2 and 2 only. One of the buckets, they say no rush, whenever really. You called me, no timeline, whenever you guys can, whenever I get my price. That's one bucket of answers. If you hear that right off the bat, you're basically going to discount it by 50%. And you're going to think, this guy's not really serious, right? Still go and ask him the next questions. Okay. On the other hand, the second bucket of answers, if we can line up on the dollar signs and all the other important details, what kind of timeline is ideal for you to finalize the sale? The other bucket is going to be as soon as possible, this month, today, tomorrow, yesterday, next week, the end of the month. Very definitive and very short, right?
Right.
When you hear that in your head, ding, 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 right?
Yep.
We got them. Let's go. This is one of, 3 leads. I would say for us right now, about 1 in 3 is an opportunity, right? And an opportunity is one we've qualified and found out they have sufficient motivation for us to run that appointment. Okay. You got the first question?
Yep.
Got the 2 buckets of answers?
Got it.
Joe, does that make sense to you? Okay, cool. The second question is, Dylan, this seems like a really nice block over here. Why the heck are you thinking about selling it now? And I want to hear their answer, right? But here I played into it, put some emotion into it. That's what you got to do. If you say, Dylan, I hate to ask you this, but why are you thinking of selling it? Are you going to get a good answer out of that?
Never.
Hell no. You have to play into it with some emotion. So again, it's just like, Dylan, this looks like a really nice blank. Looks like a nice block, looks like a nice house, looks like a nice area, looks like a nice community, looks like a nice rental, looks like a nice asset to have. Why the heck are you thinking about selling it now? And let that hang. What I'm looking for here is someone's why to back up their timeline, right? So if they're telling me, I want to sell as soon as possible, and then you say, why are you thinking about selling? Oh, I don't know. Time to move. I don't know. Figured it was, maybe time to. It's not really backing it up, right?
Right.
So what I'm looking for in this why is their actual reason on why they need to sell it as soon as possible. And when you run across that, again, it's going to be just 2 buckets of answers. One, they're not going to have an answer, or it's going to be some bullshit. The second one is going to be a real genuine answer. And that's why you have to ask it in a real genuine way. Like, again, Dylan, this looks like a really nice property. Why the heck are you thinking about selling it now? I get answers all the time, and it's just like, well, my daughter got coronavirus, and now the kids don't have anyone down there, and she lost her job. I really got to get to Florida as soon as possible. Is that a good answer? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So in the second one, in the why, all you're doing is looking for a reason that backs up their timeline, and that makes sense, right? If they answered 2 of those right, in your head, you're going, fuck yeah, ding, 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 right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got any questions at this point?
No.
Okay. So that's the first 2. The third one for property condition. How do you ask about property condition?
Usually I just answer straight up as like, is the house any repairs or any updates? And then I will dig a little bit from there. If they give me like no, then I'll be like, okay, have you done your kitchen in the last, maybe 5 to 7 years, roof, HVAC, you guys know the age of them, that sort of thing.
Okay, cool. My whole goal for the 4 pillars is really to have in 5 minutes to know whether they have big motivation and whether they're an opportunity. Okay.
Cool.
So I'm trying to ask these questions in the most efficient way possible.
Yeah.
So timeline and why. Here's my third question on property condition. Dylan, in terms of condition, if you were going to rate the property from 0 to 10, where 0 is terrible, but 10 is like a magazine cover, what do you think you would rate it?
Mm.
Oh, wow, 5. Okay, so it needs some work. Would you consider it to be move-in ready? No? Okay, got it.
Mm.
That's the question, right?
Got it. Yeah. Straight to the point.
That's the main question, but I go deeper after that. I'm like, okay, you said a 5. On the outside, have you updated the roof of the windows at all? No. Okay, do you think they're original? No. Okay, got it. So they've been updated sometime, but not in the past like 10 years or so, right? Right. Okay, got it. All right, on the inside, have you updated the kitchen or the bathroom at all? No, you haven't. Okay, do you think they're original or are they like the really old cabinets? Oh, they are. Okay. And then the bathroom, I'm looking at the pictures here and it looks like it's that black and white tile. That's the original Baltimore black and white, right? Yeah. Okay, so you have the original kitchen and the original bathroom, right? And then you can dive into whatever else you want. Is it a finished basement? What's the layout? Is it 3-bedroom, 1 bath? Do I have that correct? Basement unfinished. Does it have forced air? Or is it just the boiler heat, right?
Mm.
So I'm just trying to get those basic questions because you can always dive back into those later. But I'm just going to ask a few questions right there under that 0 to 10. Make sense?
Yep. Okay.
So starting from the top again, when you talk about timeline, you got those 2 buckets and you're looking for the ASAPs this month, today, tomorrow, right? The why, you're looking for something to back that up. In terms of rating the property from 0 to 10, where do you think the sweet spot is for what you want?
I mean, it's a 5 sounds like a good answer. Like they know it needs some work, so they might be a little more reasonable if someone's like an 8 or a 9.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would say 0 to 7 is ideal for our situation here. It's not saying it's not going to be a deal if they say 8 or 9, but generally, if it's an 8 or a 9, they could probably sell it on the MLS.
Sure.
Right? I would consider an 8 to be move-in ready, a 9 to be really nice, and if it's a 10, they're probably bullshitting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a 7, like maybe move-in ready, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one question I'll ask. So would you consider it to be move-in ready? Well, what do you mean by move-in ready? If your tenant moved out today, could I move a Section 8 tenant in there today and have it pass the inspection? Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I use. Okay.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay. And then the last question is dollar sign. So it's really 2 questions here, but I go first. Hey, Dylan, I guess you don't happen to know how much you owe on the property, do you? And if you ask it that way, I rarely get turned down, right?
Yeah.
What's the inverse of this question? The opposite is the way that most people ask it. I hate to ask you this, but how much do you owe on it? What does the person usually say?
What does that matter?
What's that matter? Give me my offer. But if you ask it in the right way, you're just triggering their emotional response, right?
Right.
So again, for me, it's just like, hey, Dylan, I guess you don't happen to know how much you owe on it, do you? Okay, got it. Cool. And then my next question on dollar signs is, do you happen to know what you think a fair price might be? Or maybe do you understand what the neighbors are selling for? That's the 4 pillars right there, right? And then they give you a price. If they give you some sort of price, my first question always reflexively back. My first question is, how much flexibility do you have in that number? Not do you have flexibility? How much flexibility do you have in that number? If you ask him, do you have flexibility? That's what I call 50-50 language. It's like a jump ball in basketball. You have a 50% chance of getting it. Do you like your odds at 50-50? Me neither. Me neither. So that's why I say, how much flexibility do you have? Because rarely do people say none. They say, well, be a little. Okay, when you say a little, what do you mean? Is that like 10K? Okay, great. Great. Okay. So those are the 4 pillars. I mean, that's where I start. Those are the most important things for you to know, right?
Got it. Yep.
And so the important thing to know about this, the next higher level concept, is you have to train your lead manager then to know what combination of those answers means an opportunity for you, right? So for me, I'm looking for someone that is in that first bucket of answers for timeline. I want to sell quick. I have a definitive timeline. I have a reason. And then the property conditions a little less important and their dollar signs are a little less important, but it'll determine which exit strategy you can use, right?
Sure.
So I'm really, for an opportunity, I'm looking for someone that's motivated to sell quick with a reason, with some sort of discount, with a house that needs some sort of work.
Hmm.
That's, an opportunity for us, someone with increased motivation. Other people
Right.
call them warm leads or hot leads. I just call it an opportunity, right?
Got it. Yep.
It's an opportunity. That should be about 1 in 3, 1 in 4 leads to you. If it's 2 out of 3, they're not qualifying hard enough and they're going to pass on a lot of tire kickers. If it's only 1 in 10, it's too much qualification. So I found the sweet spot. It can be anywhere between 1 in 2 to 1 in 5, right? Just depending on your list and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But then your lead manager is talking to 5 and passing you 1 or 2. So now instead of talking to 5, they're scheduling 1 or 2 for you to talk with. And ideally, they're saying, okay, well, I'm not the one that comes up with the cash offers, but I'd love for you to talk with him. His name's Dylan. And you can either live transfer right now or schedule a time to talk. Make sense?
Yep.
And at each stage, from your cold caller to your lead manager, they have to button it up and tell them what comes next, right? They have to set that expectation of what comes next. That's important. If your cold caller is just like, oh, you want a cash offer? You do? Okay, what's the address? How much you want? Okay, great. We'll give you a call. Bye. You're going to connect with 1 and 2, 1 and 3 of those people again, right?
Yeah. Yep.
In an ideal situation, they say, okay, great. I'm not the person that actually comes up with the offers, but I'm going to put you in touch with my team member, Chris, later today. Is there a best time to give you a call back? Okay, great. I just wanted to let you know they're not going to be calling from the same number. This is my office number. They're going to be calling from their office number, same area code though. Okay, great. Well, yeah, Dylan's going to give you a call. Chris is going to give you a call later on today at that 2 o'clock that we talked about. And then it's up to you guys to schedule out the logistics of that, right? How you call and when.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. No, makes sense.
Where
So you're teaching that lead manager to go through just those, basically all those questions we just went through.
Absolutely. And it's very important that they ask the same exact question in the same exact order every time.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me if you tweak the question and you want it different, but they have to ask your question the exact same every time in the exact same order. If they start asking about property condition first, you're going to get good old Joe on the phone talking about his grandpa's hand-built cabinets from 1941 and how they just put a new toaster in and how they put new carpet in 7 years ago so you may be able to clean it, and going over all this bullshit, right?
Right.
So one of the most important things is what I call follow the leader, right? They're asking these questions in the same order every time. And when they get on the phone, they're establishing themselves as the question asker, right?
Yeah.
So when you introduce yourself, hey, I'm calling back about 123 Main Street. You got a minute or two to go over that? Okay, great. Well, if we could line up on the dollar signs, right? And you're going right into the question. If you call up and you're like, oh yeah, how's it going? What's up with the property? And they start going on and on and on, they're the leader, right? And you're never going to get the chance to ask your questions. So it's very, very important for you to play follow the leader, ask your questions at your cadence, at your pace, right? Because you'll be able, if you practice this enough, you'll be able to get through these calls in 4 to 5 minutes and know yes or no. Do they have motivation? Yes or no. Are they an opportunity? Yes or no, right?
Yep.
So that's the qualifying call. You got the prospecting call and the qualifying call. And then after that is where you come in. And what do you think that third call is going to be? Could be your
acquisition. Yeah, it's the acquisition call. I'm trying to go virtual, so that's the way.
It's your offer call.
Offer call. Got it.
So you have prospect, qualify, offer. It could be more than 3 calls, but it could also be only 3 calls. If you get good at it, you can nail that in 3 calls.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's that setup like from prospect to qualify? Just because I'm going from Krista, who's cold calling, down. So we actually hired somebody literally this morning. We upgraded him from a texter to a follow-up specialist. Great. So we've already got that in place. So it's going to go Krista to Josh. How does she set that up for that conversation?
After the cold call?
Krista's the cold caller. She's like, hey, Josh is going to be in touch to see if this is a good fit. Is that kind of what happens?
Yeah, exactly. So you, at the very beginning, you want to have them introduce themselves, right? And it's just like setting the expectations a little bit, right? You're
Right.
going to do the same thing at the end. Okay, Dylan, I mean, that's the only question I had. Those are the only questions I have for you today. The next step from here is that my teammate's going to reach out to you and talk about that cash offer. What's the best time, right? Oh, I'll be here all day. Okay, is this afternoon around 4 p.m. fine? Or is 2 p.m. work better? Right? Okay. We're going to aim for either one of those. Okay. Yeah, I just want to let you know my teammate, and if you can name the name, it's even better. My teammate Chris is going to be giving you a call. So look out for it. And I just want to let you know he's not going to be calling from the same number because this is my office line. He's going to be calling from his. Button it up that way. The faster you can call back, the better. The first person, your cold caller, you do not want them rapport building. You do not want them qualifying. You just want them being a reporter, finding the hand raisers that say, yes, I'm interested, and finding out if they have a price or timeline in mind. So yes or no, I want to sell, right? Do you have a timeline? Do you have a price? That's all you need to know. If you want to ask a little bit about property condition, is it beat up? Is it a total rehab or whatever? Totally cool. But you only need those basic pieces of information and then push it over. Here's a super important part. You have to have your cold callers and lead managers repeat back to you what is a lead. It has to be down to a T. They have to repeat it back to you the same way every time, right? Because if the cold caller is like, oh, well, I thought, this was happening to me with the agency. Oh, I thought they needed a 30% discount from the Zillow price before we called it a lead. I'm like, no. You're thinking way too much for a cold caller. I don't pay you to think. I pay you to dial. Right? And so you just want their answers. You just want the hand raisers in. You just want the hand raisers in. This is a numbers game, right?
Yeah.
So you want that
100%.
in. The second person, your follow-up specialist, you want them building some rapport, right? And so here's another important part. What are the three phases again?
Prospect, qualify, offer.
Yep. Prospect, qualify, and offer. Okay. Prospect, your cold caller. Qualify, your follow-up specialist. Offer, you. Right? Cold caller. Follow-up specialist. And Dylan. Just like that. Just in that order, right?
Yep.
Here's the other key here. Prospect, qualify, offer. What is rapport?
What is rapport? You're asking me to answer that? Basically, they know you, they like you, I guess. I don't know. That's a tough.
You're on.
What's the definition?
You're there.
They like you and they trust you. And
ding. You got it.
Boom. Cool.
So this is the job of those three phases. Prospect, know you. Qualify, like you. Offer, trust you. Just like that. If you miss any of these steps, for instance, if they're calling the prospect and they don't identify themselves, say why they're calling or where they're calling from, they have to give a little bit of information. It could be, hey, I'm Joe, a local home investor. I just drove by your house and I'm wondering if you would ever consider selling it. That's know you, right? But you can't call up and be like, hey, Dylan, would you consider selling that property? They don't know you. They're not, you skip that step, they're going to hang up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So same thing with qualify. They have to like you. They found out who you were. They know a little bit about your company or your operation, and they set up the next step, right? When you're going to qualify or your follow-up specialist is going to qualify, they have to like you. There's no way around it, or else it's not advancing to the next stage, right? So not only are you four-pillaring, but in the realm of building rapport, they have to like you. So it has to be someone that can build that rapport, that can laugh a little bit, that can ask a personal question or two, that can point out something where you can pull that person a little closer and they say, I like that person, right?
Yep.
You get those two right and you're on to the offer with an opportunity, right? If you go to make an offer and they don't trust you, are they ever going to take it?
No.
Never. So super important for everybody on here too. Here's the three phases again. Prospect, qualify, offer. right? The positions doing that are cold caller, follow-up specialist, and then Dylan or whoever your acquisition specialist is. And then the purpose behind each call too is know you, like you, and trust you. Those are unavoidable. If you mess any of those up, you skip out of order, you jump over one, the call is going to be dead. Your lead's going to be dead.
Right.
So those are good things to keep in mind.
Sure.
What else you got?
Good.
We're going to dive into some numbers soon.
That was cool. What'd you say?
We're going to dive into some numbers and talk about like the sales funnel.
Cool. Yeah, I guess that was setting the stage prospect to qualify. And then I guess qualify to offer. You already talked about like, hey, I'm not the other way to checks. Dylan's going to give me a call here, whatever time. Does that work for you? And then, boom. All right, cool. Yeah, no, that's some gold right there. Give me some structure. I was just winging it.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And dude, this is what, has really enabled us to start signing a lot more deals, because now it's just about a numbers game. And when somebody messes up, when we have a good lead in and it doesn't convert, we can now trace it back and be like, where did we go wrong? What didn't we do?
Right.
I went to the Tiffany and Josh event, and they have this saying called check every box every time. Right. And so they have the stages of their calls, which is similar to ours, but it's just the introduction first. And then they're going into motivation condition and then setting the stage next steps. Right. And for those things right there, they know that if they go in step every time, they gave themselves the best opportunity to succeed, right?
Cool.
If you check those boxes and it's not a deal, it's more likely the other person than you, right? But if you miss even one of those boxes, overwhelming chances that it's your fault. And that's why the deal fell apart, right? Or that lead fell apart.
Right.
So super important what we've just talked about, to turn that into a repeatable process every single time. And that's, again, why I told you your cold caller and your follow-up specialist have to be able to repeat back to you, what is a lead? And then your follow-up specialist, what is an opportunity? When do you pass that on? And you'll want to role play a little bit and try to trick them a little bit. If I was this and this and this, would that be an opportunity that you pass on? Right? Yes or no? And you want to role play so they know exactly what that looks like.
Makes sense. How heavy are, Josh, your lead manager, your follow-up specialist? He asked the question. I forget the way you asked it. Basically, what are you looking to get for the house?
Yeah.
We don't know. How did they handle that? They said we don't know.
If they say I don't know, so yeah, on price, anytime someone says I don't know, you're going to have to train them on price a little bit, right? And you can use Zillow or whatever. Some people use Zillow times 0.7 or whatever it may be. You got to come up with some sort of rule on that. Basically, if they say I don't know, you would want to draw a line in the sand. Well, it looks like Zillow's got the estimate here at 100,000. Hypothetically, what if we offered you 100,000? What do you think you would say? They're not going to say I don't know. They're going to say, oh, probably. Oh, definitely not. It's not enough. So then you need to be above 100 or you should be below 100, right?
Right.
So at least give you some sort of constraint around the price on the deal.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So this right here, I think, is going to start to supercharge you, because you have, 10,000 prospects that they're calling every week. Out of those prospects, how many leads do you think you're getting a week that come into Podio?
Joe might know better than that.
Yeah, give me half a second. I'll just pull up the KPIs.
Like we had 4 today.
Dylan, 4 conversations for you per day is probably about the limit for what you can do and run the rest of your business. I mean, you might be able to squeeze in more than that, but I'm talking about offer calls where you're getting in and you're really digging into what a deal would look like for them, when they might do a deal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So not only are you trying to find out in terms of price, but you're going to try to get them to commit, right, to working with you or to make a decision anyway.
Right.
And this is one thing I relearned this weekend from Josh and Tiffany that was really good. And their language was something like, okay, at the very beginning, before the offer call, okay, Mr. Seller, I just want you to know that we're going to go through some information. I have notes from the past of what you talked about before. After we're done today, if we can line up on the dollar signs, do you think that you'll have enough information to make a confident yes or no on moving forward with us?
Mm.
So to be honest, we have not implemented that back into our scripts yet, but we're definitely going to, because then you get out the people who want to do a deal maybe in 6 months and maybe want to drag you along for 3 months.
So who's asking that? The follow-up guy or follow-up specialist? That would be me. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. So you at least know where they stand. When you get opportunities that you want to offer on, they might tell you 30 days, right? So if they tell you as soon as possible, right? Like Dylan just said, as soon as possible to me, or I got the note saying as soon as possible. Okay, Dylan, by the end of this call, we're going to review the condition and we're going to review everything you just talked about with Chris. And by the end of this call, if we go over all this stuff and look at the pictures and talk about price, do you think you'll have enough information to make a confident yes or no decision on whether we can move forward? It's pretty good, right?
Yeah. Basic John Martinez with a twist.
Exactly. So the whole goal here for you is to distill down your leads. You don't want, if you get 5 leads a day, you got 25 on the week. Dylan should not be having 25 conversations a week with unqualified leads, right?
Mm.
You should be having 5, 6, 10 conversations a week with leads who say, yes, they're ready to sell within 60 days. And then a little bit more on their price.
Right.
This alone will hyper specialize you, and it'll get you better at talking more offers, which in turn will get you more deals.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. That whole process makes sense?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
on the money.
And so just to go over one quick thing, on that call Dylan's having, or the acquisitions guy, whoever it may be, and he's making an offer, is he also closing on that as well? Or can he close on that and could also he close on the next call?
That's really up to you on the process that you want to do. So when I find that people say as soon as possible or today, and they really mean it, right? When I start pulling at the reasoning, after the 4 pillars, there's another stage for me called pulling at the dollars. And in 4 pillars, I'm just getting their answers and writing it down.
And then this one, I noticed too, and in her room.
New phone. I'm just trying to write down their answers and act like a reporter, right? And just write them down. I'm not questioning them. I'm not really negotiating with them at that point. When we start talking dollar signs, how much flexibility you got? That's when negotiation starts right there, right? So if I find someone that says they want to sell ASAP and I'm negotiating with them a little bit and pulling at their reasoning, right? Staying behind them closer towards no, when I'm there and I'm just like, well, what if I can't get XYZ? What do you think? Oh, well, I'm negotiable. I'm ready. I talk about it. Okay, great. I'm pulling at the reasoning and finding out they want to do a deal today. I'm definitely striking while the iron's hot today. I will get that under contract and then go take pictures later on. If they're like, I don't know, I want to look at my options in 30 days. I want to be out there getting pictures and then call them back after that, right? I will offer them a small range, set up pictures, and then call them back and set up expectations for what that looks like. But it's probably, 1 in 5 to 1 in 10 opportunities. A lot of PPC leads for us. They want offers today, right? So if they're submitting on your site, I want a cash offer today, do not put that off until tomorrow. Give them what they want. Give them what they want, right? So you should be striking on that if they're super motivated.
Yeah,
Cool.
100%.
I'll tell you this. I discovered this recently and I've told my team. In real estate deals, I have lost far more by not being aggressive enough versus being too aggressive. I've lost far more by not being aggressive enough. And so if you're in doubt about whether you should make an offer, then you should make an offer, right? And you can do it by making it not stick to you, right? Well, I'm not the one that comes up with the offers. I got to talk with my partner, right? You come back and you say, well, my partner said we'd be able to offer this, but I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure if that might work for you, right? And then if it pisses them off and you're way off in left field, well, at least it's not on you. Yeah, I didn't think you would accept that. I thought there was no way, but my partner gave me that offer. Where would you be?
Right.
Right. I mean, so we can talk about those next steps of what comes after that and pulling out the dollars. That's exactly how we start talking price and we start talking ranges. And then I know I'm not off way in left field because we've already talked price 2 or 3 times.
Right.
Now I'm just giving him my exact price, right?
Yeah. 100%.
All right, so let's go and talk about, it's 4:40. Let's go and talk about your like top of the funnel numbers real quick. So Joe, talk about prospects and then talk about leads coming in. Like how many prospects? Let's talk about dials and connects, right? Dials, connects, and leads. Let's talk about those numbers if you got them.
Okay, so when you say dials, I'm actually not tracking that on a daily basis, like how many times they're reaching out. What we do track is every time a cold caller talks to someone,
Okay.
it's what we say a contact. So last week, 2 cold callers only spoke with 332 people.
That's pretty
Yeah.
good. Is that over like 30 seconds?
What do you mean over 30 seconds?
Like how do you measure a connection? What is that? Anyone who just picks up and hangs up?
Yeah, any conversation.
Okay. You want to get clear about what that is? Is that a 30-second conversation? Like, hey, hello, are you interested? No, I'm not interested. Bye. Like
It could be that. It could be that. It could be a lead. It's still a contact. Not interested.
Okay.
Not interested in selling right now, but reach back.
Everything but wrong number, right?
No, wrong numbers don't count as a contact.
Wrong numbers do not count as a contact. Okay. So I would tell you guys to keep, these are the most important numbers. We're just talking about only the prospecting bucket right here, right?
Mhm.
So these are the most important numbers to me that I track, and that is dials, contacts, and leads. Because between all those numbers right there, you have a ratio of dials to contacts and then contacts to leads, right? You want to, this is how you're going to measure the health of your cold calling operation, like just your prospecting cold calling operation. These 3 numbers right here will give you the health of how you guys are doing. And you'll need to start to measure these and then get a baseline for what you're doing and then measure every week against your baseline. But in terms of like dials, right? We have per cold caller around, right around 5,000 dials a week per cold caller. So probably around 10,000 with 2. From those dials, I want to see 10% connection. If we're not seeing 10% connection, so 5,000 connects, I want to see, or 5,000 dials, I want to see 500 connects. And yours may be a little bit lower. Your baseline may be at 6% or 7%, but I'm aiming for 10%, which is just dropping moving a decimal or dropping a 0, right? So it should be easy.
Right.
And then from contacts to leads, if you can get 10% there, you'll be a rock star. So from those, you said last week, 330 contacts. If you could pull 33 leads out of that, you'd be doing extremely well.
Yeah, we're sitting at about like, I guess 3%. We only had 11 leads last week, and we just changed the lead requirements as well. So
okay. And I was just about to say, if it's below 5% and remains below 5%, you might be screening too heavy. You need to then tweak either your questions or your process a little bit.
okay.
Because then it also shows you, then you're looking at the amount of leads you pulled out of those contacts. You then can go back and listen to some of those conversations that you contacted but were not leads, right? So if you're only getting 1 lead per every 50 conversations, what are those other 49? All the other 49 can't be telling you to fuck off or no, I'm not interested when you're pulling good data. So you should be aiming for 10%. It's really hard to get 10% for sure. But if you can get 10% and sustain it there, you'd be a rock star. But it definitely should be north of 5. So I would say 5 to 10% is the sweet spot. So I would start to just track those numbers. You don't have to make adjustment based on those numbers in the first few weeks, but start to track those numbers. That's your cold calling funnel right there.
That helps. Yeah.
That'll give you an idea about the health, right? And so the whole purpose is, if there's a big disconnect, if you got 100,000 dials, but only 100 connects, you're like, wait a minute, I know exactly where to zoom in now, right? What's going on? Why did so few people pick up? You know exactly what the issue is. You're not a dog chasing your tail, right? And then if you got 1,000 contacts, but 10 leads, you're like, wait a minute, there's the problem, right? Let me zoom in here and let me talk about their qualification, or let me talk about, you know, what's a lead in their business. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. What else you got? Dylan, and Dylan.
It's funny how that all our VAs say that. They don't say Dylan, they just say they say Dylan.
Dylan.
Sorry, I am losing connection here.
I know. Your eyes are going weird. You look like a zombie over there. What question do you got, dude?
That pretty much answered everything. I mean, we keep the script pretty basic. We and then just the connection rate, the leads. I mean, that makes sense. I think at one point we were at, I think 1 out of every 30 contacts was a lead, if I'm right, Joe. Which I thought wasn't bad.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, I didn't think that was horrible.
It's not horrible. It's not horrible, but it shows you got room for improvement. I would really aim to get up over 5%. You get to 5%, you're going to start seeing a good amount of leads coming in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Cool.
All right. Anybody else out there got any questions? Happy to help wherever I can.
No, sir. This is gold. Just want to throw it out there.
Cool. Who's talking?
Oh, this is Will.
Will. All right, cool. I appreciate that, man. So cold calling has been, you know, our main driver for the past 5 or 6 years. We've spent a shitload of time cold calling people. So this is the system I've developed for myself, and it's working.
Yeah.
Mike Newby, great stuff. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, no problem, buddy. I'm glad you're on. Hope I could help a little bit. Anyone else got questions?
Looks like everyone has it down pat.
It's your opportunity.
Josh,
right.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You're using call tools as well, you mentioned?
I'm not using call tools. So right now I'm using an agency. Well, the agency is using call tools. What I meant by that, I have no expertise in call tools. I've never once logged into call tools. I wouldn't know what to do if call tools showed up in front of me. I'm sure I could figure it out. My experience has been with Mojo a long time ago, and then ZenCall. So I do not have any specific call tool knowledge.
Cool. All right, no worries.
Which company? I'm using Call Magicians right now. Who is iPhone? Identify yourself, iPhone. Richard. Richard. Yeah, I'm using Call Magicians. It's from Stratton Brown. It seems to be pretty good so far. The one thing that I really liked when I was interviewing these vendors was that he started talking about the 4 pillars right up front too. And I was like, oh, wow, you use the 4 pillars? That's what we use. And so I thought that the alignment would be pretty good. And so to be perfectly honest, I think there's some room for improvement, but there always is. Cold calling vendors are hard for people to be satisfied. Just like prepaid leads, right? Like need to sell your house fast and all that shit. Really hard to run a business like that because everyone tells you the leads are shitty. Everybody does, right?
Mm-hmm.
But overall, they've been super solid for us so far. And my goal was to not have a whole lot of overhead management, especially from 2 more cold callers. So that's mainly why I hired them. And they've done really well with the management of it so far. So all I have to do, they send me weekly reports, and I'm looking at the list they dialed, how many leads we have left or how many prospects we have left. And then I'm going back to the same funnel I just talked to you guys about: dials, contacts, and leads. Inevitably, I'm always pulling out something and being like, oh, wow, that looks really low. Why that? And they're like, oh, let's dig in here. Let's listen to some calls. Just from those 3 numbers, you can dig in and find out the health of your whole cold calling operation. So
That's cool.
I hope you guys do that. See you, Mike. Are they in line with $5 per hour? No, these guys are like $11 per hour, but they're good. They're trained and they come with their own dialer. So I don't have to pay for the dialer anymore. So they're 11 an hour. Yeah. And the other thing is with the managers, they're working on training like every week, and they're also in contact with the managers. So for people that I'm managing, the cold callers, I used to hardly ever talk to them. So that's a hard work environment, right? Like they're getting yelled at by a lot of people, and then their boss really doesn't talk to them too much. Like I talk to them sometimes, but admittedly not as much as I should. And so I think it's very much a rapport thing too, that you have to keep up with your cold callers. It's not an easy job. It's just repetitive and people yell at you. So you have to make sure you have to check in on your cold callers, listen to their calls, and then correct as necessary. And they're doing 6 hours a day, 6 days a week.
6 days a week. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to start having callers on the phone 7 days a week. Like I'm going to rotate through and have some of my lead managers or follow-up specialists on the phone Saturday and Sunday because we've had such good connections.
That's cool. We actually started using VA brokers to hire them instead of going through the whole process. So by the time they hit me, it's a conversation with them and the VA broker. They're asking them questions, they're having them go through a script, and then I'm taking them from there. So it's actually just like VA Hub is going to start doing it, but I use somebody else like $125, and so far they've been some of our best hires.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And when you get someone on your team, that's a really good hire, man. Do what you can to keep them rather than trying to churn through. Or
100%.
Trying to churn through.
Yeah, no, exactly.
These guys are not Philippines. These guys are in South America. So they're like Mexico and Venezuela and stuff. I don't know exactly what countries because honestly, I've never talked to our cold callers. I hear them though. So they've been solid.
Kind of nice.
Yeah. All right. So I gave you that funnel for, your cold calling operation. You guys will start measuring that. You're going to you already hired a lead manager or a follow-up specialist?
As of like 10 o'clock this morning.
Love it. Okay. So get your boy Joe on there to make sure that their training is really, really good, right? They got to be able to repeat back what is a lead to you and what is an opportunity. And then it's absolutely necessary that they follow your procedure. When it's a lead, do this. When it's dead, do this, right? What does dead mean? When it's an opportunity, do this. It's super important that they're able to repeat that process over and over again. Make sure they fill out all the proper fields. Make sure they notify you however you want it done. But you just can't afford to have good leads passed to them. They qualify and then it falls through the cracks.
Right. And just to reiterate, 3 out of 4 to the boxes, or did I mishear that? When they're qualifying, where does it go in those boxes? Like how many boxes does it have to be checked?
So for me, timeline and why are the most important. If they say as soon as possible and they got a reason to back it up, that's going to be an opportunity for us unless they're asking over retail and they're like, nope, nothing less than that. It's worth 300. I want 340, no less than that. Then it's not an opportunity.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense.
So in our Podio, we have prospect, lead, low, medium, and high, right? And then dead and long-term drip. Low goes in its own campaign, but then medium and high are opportunities. That's what we call them. It's like how it follows along in Podio.
Okay.
And so if they got a short timeline or some sort of measured timeline, they got a reason why, and they're offering any discount, right? That's an opportunity for us.
Right. Cool.
All right.
That's gold.
So you're getting your follow-up specialist in place. You got the 4 pillars, and you got the top of the funnel to look at from your cold callers. Measure the health.
Yep. 100%.
Really, the other thing that you need to take care of is make sure you got good lists and got good numbers. As soon as you got that, keep it flowing, and then just check in on the health of your cold calling operation and expand as necessary.
Yep. Cool.
Where can we swipe up on this?
Buy Josh's course.
It's funny you say that. I got a virtual group coming out on Friday.
I figured. That's awesome.
Dude, I've been.
This is way too structured to not. Why not? This is good.
Yeah, exactly. One of my coaching students was on here before, and he was talking about some other course that he bought a while back. And he was like, man, it was just terrible and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I hope I provided more value to you than that. And he said, bro, on the introduction call before I even paid you, you provided more value to me than that $1,000 course. And I was like, okay, did my job then.
That's great.
Yeah. So I'm actually preparing it all now, and you guys will see me. I'm going to launch it on Friday in the group. So it'll be
Hell
good.
yeah.
Yes,
Hell
sir.
yeah. Good stuff, man.
All right, Dylan, you got any other
Cool.
questions?
Dude, I think we're good, man. That was gold. Appreciate you hopping on here and doing this.
You're
And
my boy, man.
I'll see you guys in a few weeks down in Dallas.
When is that?
6
May?
weeks.
Yeah,
6 weeks away.
Okay, you said a few weeks. I was like, wait a minute.
Oh.
Can't be that.
Hold on.
Right?
Cool, man. All right. Well, yeah, I got to hop on a call here. But, dude, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Fellas, go get him, all right?
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Peace.
Later.